DayZ is by far the most realistic apocalyptic zombie game that you'll ever play. DayZ is a zombie mod for the game Armored Assault 2. Now, for those of you who've never played Armored Assault 2, it is one of the most realistic combat simulators ever created. It is a tactical shooter, it is a realistic military shooter, it's a free roaming, open world military combat simulator. When you start the game, you essentially have nothing except the barest of supplies. This game essentially came up out of the blue in May of 2012, and since then has gone on to have such a large following. You know, the game is very alpha, it's very rough around the edges. Fortunately, the people at Bohemia Interactive are releasing updates every other day or so. Now, I use the term mod loosely. I mean, the game was created by Dean Hall, who is one of the game designers at Bohemia Interactive. Now, normally when you think of mods, you think of games that were created by passionate fanboys like Counter-Strike or Team Fortress Classic. Let's talk about zombies. There are two types of zombies in the game. The first is this very lumbering, slow type of zombie. The second kind is a more lumbering type of zombie, but they're crouched on their haunches, and they kind of just hop around like monkeys. Now, when you come across zombies in this game, they'll first start off as kind of the lumbering zombies, more akin to, say, the Walking Dead series. Now, here's the thing. They start out slow, and as long as you don't bother them, they won't bother you. But if you get too close to these zombies or make too much noise around these zombies, they'll quickly turn into the rage zombies, more akin to, say, 28 Days Later. And they'll suddenly just charge you. Anywhere shot on the body kills them. You don't have to shoot them in the head before they actually go down. But it might take a couple, depending on what kind of gun you have. And what will happen is you'll shoot your gun, and the noise from your gun will alert other zombies around you, and they'll charge you. And then suddenly it becomes a whole other game. So I'm with 5 other guys, and we're about to enter this town, right? And we do. And we're being very sneaky about it. We're being very stealthy, Splinter Cell-esque about entering this town. And all of a sudden we see some lumbering zombies coming down the hill, and we think nothing of it. So 5 minutes goes by, and they're within eyeshot, and all of a sudden they all charge us. And then like 10 guys charge us. And then we're running. So it quickly becomes that first scene in 28 Weeks Later where we're running and they're coming all over the hill trying to kill us. So let's talk about the humans in the game. Every human in DayZ is someone playing the mod somewhere online in the world. And the thing is, you don't know if this person wants to kill you and take your supplies, or they want to befriend you and help you as you play the game. It used to be that if you just went around killing people, you'd turn into a bandit. And what would happen is your avatar or your skin would highlight red to indicate to other players that you were going to kill them. But I think that's been taken out in the last patch or two of the game. So what'll happen is you'll run into a guy or a bunch of people, and it'll be kind of like a Mexican standoff until, you know, one of you or both sides kind of backs down and befriends one another. Now, they also have chat capabilities on Ventrilo for people who are in a given area online. Now, some players have criticized this aspect as not being entirely realistic, seeing as how if you're in a zombie apocalypse, you don't always have a walkie-talkie with you. And I've even heard rumors that the guys at Bohemia Interactive are actually going to change this. So you'll be typing and you hear a gunshot in the distance and you'll type in friendly and a question mark and you'll hope they're friendly, but it just might give them incentive to try and find you and kill you. I don't know what they're going to do going forward. I'm kind of hoping they keep it. You know, you'll hear a gunshot in the distance and you'll think, is someone trying to kill me? Or is this person nearby? You know, but sometimes you'll just be walking and then bam, you're dead. Because you got sniped from 50 feet away. So just like if you were to be placed in a real-life zombie apocalypse, the main goal of this game is to stay alive for as long as possible. See, one of the things that makes this game so brutal is that once you die, you're permanently dead. You lose all your supplies and you have to start from scratch, and you have to respawn somewhere randomly in Chinaris. And the land of Chinaris is huge. It's somewhere like 225 square kilometers, which is about 15 kilometers by 15 kilometers. Now, while there may be something like 50,000 people online, you'll very rarely come across humans in your travels. Now, one of the things the game allows you to do is to spawn as a group of players, which honestly is probably the best way to go about this game. But you can just as easily go in single-handedly and meet up people along your adventures. The game runs on a persistent server, and I use that term loosely because it's persistent in one way, in the sense that there are a bunch of other players online playing the game, and it's persistent in the sense that if it's daylight and you're playing in New York City, it'll be daylight in the game. Whereas if you're playing this game in, let's say, Japan at the same time and it's nighttime there, it'll be nighttime in the game. And I would highly recommend playing this in the daytime as opposed to night, because you will die much faster if you can't see the zombies in front of you. You have no map, you have no compass, but you can find a map, and you can find a compass, and then kind of get your bearings. There's some really cool weapons found in this game, and if you're bitten by a zombie, the only way to be fully healed is to be bandaged by a friend to stop the bleeding, or be given morphine so you can run. There are also things like you have to constantly replenish with food and water, but the game isn't that disruptive in terms of eating or drinking. Another thing that alerts the zombies are road flares, especially if you're playing at night. So if you're in a city with a lot of zombies and you throw a road flare in the middle of the street, it will often attract a lot of the zombies in the area away from you. On the main website, they had the average lifespan per player, and a couple weeks ago it started out at 4 hours. But now I think it's been whittled down to something like 28 minutes. Sometimes you'll come across an abandoned car, which you can fix up. The only problem is you have to search for the missing parts individually in order to get the car going. And then the question becomes, do you want to risk your life in order to get this car moving? Now, I haven't actually seen a working car in the game thus far. But last night I was playing and some guy, I don't know how he did it, managed to get a fully working helicopter off the ground. You know, you're sneaking in the woods and all of a sudden you hear this, and you look up and there's this fucking huge helicopter in the air flying across, and you move your cursor on and you can see it's actually being piloted by a player in-game. But again, you don't know if they're friendly or if they want to kill you. You know, I've always been a fan of zombie games. I'm a big fan of the Resident Evil series, I'm a big fan of Dead Rising, I'm a big fan of Left 4 Dead. But if there is one thing I would criticize about these games, it's that they're not free roaming. They're very restrictive, they're very linear. So to play DayZ is actually very refreshing. Or is it DayZ? Now you can only play DayZ if you already own Armored Assault 2 and Armored Assault Operation Arrowhead. Since Arma 2 has been out for 3 years now, you know, you could probably get it for very cheap currently on Steam. This might in fact be the greatest zombie video game ever created. And I only hope going forward that this starts a new trend of zombie games that are more open world and free roaming. It's a weird addictive nature of this game that makes you just want to explore every building and explore every city in it. I love playing this game. Bottom line, I love this game. I think it's an incredible addition to the Arma 2 franchise, but more than that, it is just so cool to see this type of game being created. And if you want something that is just kind of new and interesting and you're kind of unsatisfied with the current zombie games on the market, try this game right away. Thanks for watching. As always, feel free to rate, comment, and subscribe to my channel.